So completely contrasting styles, and maybe that plays towards the hands of AV, because Pac-Man, whilst he was just a tank player anyway, he has that carry mental now in his back of his mind. Maybe Paradise can exploit it.
And also will have the momentum moving into this game as well, so Abyss still probably feeling good. We'll see whether Paradise, now that he has the shackles of the bottom lane off, whether he's going to be able to do ridiculous things. Aurelia is going to be banned away. Not going to see Paradise on that.
And I feel like we saw both of the mid laners actually do well throughout that first game. It just came to the crunch, and Abyss had a better team fight. They were set up better for success. This time around, now we've got the potential of carry through more than one lane for AV. It might not just be the triple show. It also comes down to the drafting phase quite heavily. Yeah,
and it looked like Luch was sort of getting the better end of the farming phase in the lane, whereas Triple was able to get those picks throughout the mid game, really make things happen. It was the last team fight for Abyss that really was able to seal the deal for them. That Baron, of course, being pretty handy, not to mention Seb's work getting dragons everywhere.
Yeah, Seb jungled really well. The early pathing that he had, he was targeting the right lanes, doing the right things, and it was honestly solid, almost completely outperforming Chelby. But that was also due to the bottom lane reacting from the side of Abyss. So a full team effort from them, whereas AV feel like 5 strong individual players.
I certainly do. Well, Abyss now with a few options to look at. The Rise once again going to be omitted from the ban phase as Rek'Sai is once again up. We'll see what everyone's going to be going towards.
They banned away Azir and Victor with that Vladimir. Twisted Fate also hitting the bench means that mid lane champions are now starting to run a little bit thin.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And Shen went through, actually. So Pac-Man going to get the champion that he was successful in. And they went up against Sin last time around.
Gives them that semi-global presence if they couple it with an Ashe and a Rek'Sai.
Yeah.
2 things that I expect to see taken away by AV now in response near immediately. If they're thinking of denying the enemy's strategy. Otherwise, they can sculpt something strong of their own. Noting that the Aurelia and Echo bans from Paradise say a lot about the state of how it's been going for them.
Damn right. Well, Swain and Rek'Sai are going to be locked away here. Paradise could, of course, play the Swain towards the top side of the map, but Triple can be playing that one as well in the mid lane. See where it's going to go, but a lot of threat.
Yeah, and I'm wondering what Luch is going to play in response. Funnily enough, with all of these champions taken away from him, he still has options.
Yeah.
But the occasional defaulting to Gangplank might not be ideal against the Swain. In fact, I would say it's the opposite of ideal.
Do we think maybe he just takes Sivir Karma to try and stop that Swain from being really fast?
They should still take the Sivir Karma. I think at least one of those should be looked at. They might still want to take the Ashe away from Chenny Boy again.
Yeah, good point.
And so the Karma at the very least would make sense.
Well, they are looking at the Ashe here. Seb, we consider that. Taking it away from Chenny Boy. Raid once again going to have that champion and was successful in the last game despite having a difficult laning phase. Ashe Karma looking to be the lock-ins.
Yeah, this makes a lot of sense. Happy middle point between an engage tool, essentially. Complementary engage in the Shen and the Karma. Able to follow people up, maybe empower them with move speeds and shields. And if Raid is ever caught out of position, that is a lot of shield.
Oh, yeah. A lot of movement speed there as well. As Triple once again having a look at Nunu.
He loves the old Nunu hover.
Yeah, we'll see how AV decide to move around in this draft, whether Chenny Boy does head to something like a Sivir.
Chenny has been quite facilitative lately, so Sivir would make a lot of sense. Ezreal is always going to be there if you want to default to a safe champion.
That is a very good point.
Of course, knowing that you're against the Ashe, you might want to use that E.
He's played a lot of it as well. As Jake did have a good game on the Bard. Chenny Boy thinking about heading towards the Jhin.
I like this a lot.
The pseudo Ashe.
Sort of, yeah. I guess in a way. Of course, having Bard with it means that your lane presence is quite nice in the way of range. Bard can be a bit closer range than you. You can lock them down, follow up the stuns, put all of your burst on them. So 2v2 laning still potent here for both of these teams, as you would expect. But it also means that when we come to the mid game, when we have those proper team fights break out, it's going to be really hard for Pac-Man or for anybody, depending on what the jungler goes here with it, whether it's a Gragas again, to actually get onto Chenny Boy and cause any trouble, because he sits so far back and just presses his W and R.
Well, the interesting thing is the fact that the Trundle is still left completely available, and they can't necessarily even use the pick now to stop this Jhin from getting the work done. No Bard to be picked up.
But Paradise can.
Yeah.
So we're waiting for them to round out their team comp. Does it make sense because Luch can play Rise quite successfully?
And look at how much single target CC they have as well. Now, the Rune Prison, the Cocoon, the Arrow coming out as well, not to mention the follow-up that Pac-Man can bring with that taunt. That is very scary out of Abyss. If they can open up the map, AV do have to be worried.
Now, that may be a hover, and he's definitely a Riven main. Something that you'll come to learn. Sooner or later, I do hope we get to see that because he's quite impressive. But something like the Trundle perhaps would make a little bit more sense, unless, of course, they're picking for their mid lane and Paradise is already that swing.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He knows that he's against the Shen, and he could look towards the matchup and pick something for Triple.
Well, Triple considering a Jace at the moment. See whether he sticks to that. He's going to be playing into the Rise and knows that he is. At the moment, Abyss do have a pretty well-rounded team comp, despite maybe a slight lack of range, perhaps, but Ash is still pretty good in that department.
Yeah, they have a decent amount of range. It should suffice because of the pick that their team composition actually has, and honestly, it's a decently rounded comp.
Yeah, and actually throwing the gauntlet here is Paradise as he picks up the Jax into the Shen in the top lane. Spoken to me about this before, the fact that Shen often picked as a pseudo counter to the likes of Jax, Aurelia, these carry top laners.
Yeah, so it's picked usually into the Jax and Aurelia, but Jax has a unique, I guess, counter attack to it. I didn't want to say that, but the E is the big factor, and we've seen Sin actually utilize this, and Squiggle went off in that game. If Shen places the ground down where you can't hit him, you can press your counter strike where he can't hit you, but you stun at the end of it.
Yeah.
And so there are windows of opportunity for a Jax to have a much better time than that of an Aurelia, which is the specific counter matchup for that Shen.
Well, we'll see whether Paradise is going to be able to make it work. Of course, seeing him on a carry like this is very scary. We've seen his Echo already. We've seen all sorts of champions out of this guy. But the Grandmaster of Arms is not necessarily one that you'd want to see if you're an Abyss fan, to be perfectly honest, because Paradise can really take games on his own. Like, this guy's ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, I like AV's team composition this time around. They've got really good range. So they can hit from the front, middle, not medium, and back.
All sorts of different ranges. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to hear from you. Use that hashtag AEWin if you think that Abyss are going to be able to take this one down 2-0. Or you believe in 3 games. If you believe in Avant, use that hashtag AVWin. Let us know on Twitter. Of course, this time around, it's a very different looking team out of this Avant roster because, of course, they got Paradise back in the top lane. They got Chenny Boy back in the AD carry position. This is finally the Avant that we came to know and love earlier on in the split.
Absolutely right. And this is basically that full power team, right? So going down in game number 1, coming back with the full roster. This is everything that AV now has, and it's essentially still that battle for 4th place.
Yeah, precisely. Well, let's get straight into it. On to Summoner's Rift here for game number 2 between Avant and Abyss. First dragon is going to be an Infernal Drake, which is very, very scary. As you can see, a grouped up Team Abyss.
It's just T-Gun's team.
Yeah, that's what happens. He's always a blitzcrank at heart.
Yeah, something you come to appreciate as well if you've seen T-Gun historically play League of Legends is at level 1 is pretty much just invades.
Well, Chelby not going to get snared. T-Gun doesn't get it from around the wall, and no Cocoon to be taken first here by Seb.
Which also means T-Gun started W, and I would like to think that that impedes their laning phase quite severely.
Hey, Mantra W for the extra sustain after his auto attack harassed.
Yeah. So when you're at no health, you can use it to be at less no health.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, maybe it's not great.
Compare that to a Bard who can start with the Q and slap you for about the same damage. Anyway, I think you're in a pretty poor position. And as far as level 1s go, that was aggressive from Abyss simply because of that one spell. It indicates they may want to lane swap to hide it and to keep Jax down, because the track record of the matchup that we have seen between a Shen and a Jax does favor that Jax.
Of course, very recently as well. As you can see, Paradise is moving towards the top side. Lane swap vision is going to let everyone know on the side of Abyss, and we'll see how they react to it. It looks like a lane swap is going to ensue.
They've actually snuck in here. They have not been seen through vision. Remember, the T-Gun still has the W, not the Mantra Q, but Raid is also here.
Well, they are going to be able to take down at least one of these camps. Nice volley comes in from Raid as T-Gun does manage to lock down Paradise for now. It's a lot of damage actually out of the Ash as Chelby now can't decide which tower to head back to. Has to flash as T-Gun uses the ultimate but doesn't get the tether off.
Still wishes he had the Q, unfortunately. As very well done though from Abyss to kick this level 1 off. Not only stopping that recall, now insulting the injury that has already been applied towards AV's wounds.
With a tower shot to the back of the head on purpose.
And so they force at least the smite. Chelby does lock down. I don't know if he's actually going to be able to... Oh, they've just continued double jungling. maybe don't want to do that.
Yeah, well, you can see T-Gun going back saying, oh, surely they wouldn't.
They wouldn't.
Yeah, he's going to see the red buff is going to be respawning as he doesn't want to pick up aggro. Those Cinderlings hurt, man.
He wants them. All right, so they push them away. Chelby's still level 1. Paradise still level 1. Look at the opposite side of the map, however, where Seb is already level 3, and they're able to get a quite efficient lane swap in. A Jhin and a Bard as a duo lane are not very efficient at taking turrets down. You want to have Paradise there as soon as possible the second it crashes to ensure that it goes down. So you will see him get here close enough to on time if the cannon decides it wants to hit the turret. There we go. This does mean, though, that Chelby, behind an experience, now solo jungling, could get invaded by Seb eventually if he chooses.
Yeah, it could be dangerous. Of course, he's going to be taking the Rift Scuttler. Doesn't hit back as hard, or at all. It's definitely handy. He's now heading towards the red buff. He will at least take the same amount of buffs. However, you can see 10 jungle creeps in the lead is Seb. This guy's having a field day, and of course, this is his pick. We haven't spoken about it as much as we would have liked, just given the fact that we had to spend so much time discussing Shenny Boy Paradise, these changes that AV have made. But Seb has sort of snuck onto his Elise, which always has been a notable pick of his.
Seb already in.
Yeah, and Lucci is going to be able to lock down Triple. Nevermove comes in. Nice repel. Gets Seb out of it. But they get a flash already. Triple has to be very careful.
Yeah, Triple. Summon a spell burn. It was nice to force the at least repel. Unfortunately, Seb does still have the reactions. So Swain, not in a great position in this laning phase. Of course, once he gets his Catalyst and level 6, so things always turn around. And he's in a matchup where most people against the Ryze will go for Exhaust. Not because he is a Swain or not, it's because he's against the Ryze and everyone goes Exhaust.
Yep.
But he's going for the teleport, so he can get back to lane. Will still be able to keep up in farm and everything, which is something that Triple, adores as much as Luch does, if not more. It's hard to say between those two.
Yeah, it's very true. Triple and Luch both miss a counter creep in their last wave. Both of them going to be very upset as Seb once again. He's going to load up the red buff. Paradise doesn't get the counter strike and the cocoon goes wide. Nice flash from Paradise.
And if T-Gun was there, he was probably dead. Currently level 1 T-Gun has not seen a lot of experience on Summoner's Rift in his back pocket.
No.
Having a bad time. But yeah, the cocoon was flashed. They just didn't have the tether to force the flash any earlier. And so he gets to walk away.
Yeah, well, Red and T-Gun now pushing towards his turret. AV 300 gold in the lead, actually, after all is said and done, which is quite interesting. Most of that belonging to Chenny Boy on this Jhin. He's been farming a little bit better in this lane swap scenario. Now going to get some decent work done for this top outer turret. Paradise teleported up there. Pac-Man still has his. Sitting on level 3 for both top lanes.
Yeah, so this is about standard, just considering the cheesy level 1 that happened. On the side of Abyss playing around the lack of vision that AV actually placed down. And of course it was warranted. You will still see, funnily enough, a slight edge gained by AV from this. The teleport used by Paradise to get himself up here quick enough.
Yeah, the passive also very handy from Jax to make sure these towers go down as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
They look like they're pushing through as well.
And of course it's going to take another whole wave to do this, and maybe even more, as they force the early recall from Shen. If they push this all the way through and it doesn't freeze, I'd call that a success. Chelby's help.
Yeah, Seb actually looking for it as Jake's going to give him a bit of a way towards the Rex side, but he is going to make it to safety. Seb once again getting aggressive. He's quite a strong member on the map at the moment, as Nevermove going to be wandered out of the way up there by Luch, who doesn't have Flash, remember. Used it in the earlier gank.
And a lot of good damage as well, as Triple hits that level 6 point, which makes life significantly easier for that Swain. Still save that teleport, so he'll just come back to lane after he gets his Catalyst, you'd imagine. And it's, I'm going to say, still a similar position for Luch, who teleported earlier, but got pushed out and forced to use all of his health bar before this. This is absolutely lane control for Triple, which means Drake being Infernal could be looked at by AV.
Well, nice passive comes out from Luch there as he gets a lot of damage on the returning Triple. Has to expend a lot of his health bar and mana bar.
But we're still looking at potions non-existent for Luch with no mana as well. One really nice thing that should not really be that way, but of course he's a Rex size. Chelby's levels the same as Seb.
Yeah.
He's behind in a bit of gold, of course, a bit of farm. That's to be expected from what we saw at the start of the game. But Shelby can go from small camp to small camp. He still clears pretty effectively. Has managed to find himself happy, if nothing else.
And we've been doing just a few more Rift Scuttlers and Groms than Seb, his counterpart. As he is down by a considerable margin. See, farm evened out as Luch makes his way back in. Catalyst done of his own. And the Rise is going to be very happy as we move later and later into this game.
A lot of focus now actually towards the top side of the map from AV with positioning. At the very least, of course, you'll find that it's about to be matched by Abyss. And I guess the scouting party that Shelby then provides is always going to be beneficial. They can place vision. It's a Sightstone Rek'Sai. Paradise is far too overextended because the minion wave has been kept there. So out of necessity, AV have put themselves on the top side of the map, predicting Seb's arrival.
Yeah, Luch can't quite get him there as the Q does fly over the wall. The blue buff goes to the Rise. We'll be able to stack up that tier a whole lot faster. Also be able to use that Catalyst to keep him healthy. His Never Move is going to be able to lock down Luch for now, but Jake's going to make his way over. There's the Meep Slap as Jake's just going to get turned on. Has to use the Flash as Luch still wants it. Stand United had come in, and they take the magical journey. There's the Flash. Jin comes down. Chenny Boy with the slow. Very nicely done, but he may have hurt himself here. As Pac-Man's looking for, once again, the taunt. And Jake still the target that they want. Never Move comes down. Triple zoning them nicely. There's another magical journey not going to be taken. Captive audience. He's going to erupt onto T-Gun.
2 pinks to secure the Drake.
Well, that's some serious pink action.
It's also just a big numbers advantage established by Abyss through pushing them out. Pac-Man, of course, having his ultimate and his teleport. Means that he'll be able to get back towards top lane if things got any worse than they currently were anyway. And then free Drake, and it's another big one.
Yeah, the Infernal Drake goes down. Next one will be a Cloud, so maybe we won't be seeing as much prevalence of the aggression that AV have been showing towards this one, as Luch once again going aggressive on a triple. He does land this combo. He does look very, very good. Yeah, there it is. Curtain Call's going to be enough, and first blood goes to Chenny Boy. Luch just a little over-aggressive.
The blue buff also now picked up by Chenny Boy. I think Triple would have liked that one, but his is up in less than a minute anyway. And that's another big pick, and it's not done.
Yeah, really nice Cocoon comes out, and the Deadly Flourish is perfect out of Chenny Boy. Shelby looking to lock down the jungler. Repel not going to be able to get Seb out as Chenny picks up his second. This Jin looking good.
And Seb actually gives the kill to Chenny Boy, who's now going to be 2-0. Jakey was even looking to get over this wall, but Triple doesn't have enough mana to do anything. That's the power that a Jin actually provides. He just shows up in that middle lane. And because he can use the ultimate from such extreme distances, Triple engages, there's always going to be follow-up. They get a nice first kill, and they follow it up with a second.
Well, you can see Pac-Man with his Barmy Cinder just looking to get in there, get some wards down. Shelby going to be seen. He's going to be able to clear that ward pretty much instantly.
It's very hard to find where that 1.3k gold advantage actually exists.
Yeah. Quite strange, because Raid caught completely up in farm.
Where's the head from?
Yeah.
No, even in turrets.
Usually these first 2 kills, is Pac-Man taking a lot of damage. Nice Cocoon onto Shelby. Stops the engage as the arrow flies straight into Triple, but he may not be the target they want. Lots of sustain here out of this guy as this outer turret falling down very quickly. Deadly Flourish stuns up Raid. They have to be careful as Jenny moves forward. Yeah, is going to fall down as Luch picks up the kill. Tower's going to die as well. And here's the answer from Abyss. They want Jakey now. It just seems to be like catnip for these guys. Seb's going to make his way up. Really nice stun comes in, but the Cocoon was already there. And Seb locks down the kill. Shelby gets a nice double knockup, but yeah, this could be a little bit more than he can chew as the double kill comes in. Seen Shelby make these plays before. Not exactly what Avant needed.
Yeah, that was a lot more than he could chew. It looks like the 5-man strong unit is now going to threaten. I don't know if there's enough minions for this. There is 5 of them, though.
Yeah, a couple of Spiderlings there helping out as this tower goes down.
Ooh, Paradise.
Paradise looking for a big flank. This T-Gun could be in trouble. Luch will need to use his CC as Paradise has already locked down 3 people. Raid in trouble now as well as Luch is fighting Triple. Can he actually get the kill? Triple comes down. Paradise is huge, but Chenny going to get turned on. The Quadra comes in for the Jax. Welcome back to the top lane, Paradise. Jeez, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, wow. AV get themselves 4 big kills. An overextension from Abyss looking to secure that turret. They do get the turret and lock it down, but the cost is high. And now they have a 4-0 Trinity Force Jax at 12 minutes to contend with, because he has just pushed himself so far ahead of Pac-Man through this. Of course, we do get to see how this was entirely set up by the rest of his team. 1, presses E, gets 2 on the back of the crit, of course, from that Jin ultimate, who was quite distant from his team. pops the third, and then Luch looking for triple. Paradise like, oh, better help him instead, and bops him, and hello.
Yep, well, T-Gun's going to fall down as well as Pac-Man's looking for it. Paradise going to get stunned as the Tempered Fate going to lock down a couple of members. Seb wants to find it here as the Volatile Spiderling is going to cause a flash. Seb gets the repel as, the interrupt comes in from the Q. Seb's probably still will be able to catch up to the Jax here.
He has his E.
He's looking for the counter-strike as he gets another one. Fantastic cocoon, though, and Seb, cool guys don't look at explosions as he picks up the kill. Doesn't even want to take down the pink ward. He's that much of a baller.
Yeah, but remember, we came back at the same time as Paradise picked up the kill in the first place. So that's essentially a 1-for-1, albeit extended. And that's, again, we said that was a 4-0 Jax that had a Trinity Force. It's now 5-1. Fair bit of CS ahead of the Shen. And that split pushing that a Jax can get done. Good luck, Pac-Man.
Yeah, don't leave him with your turrets ever. Pac-Man is basically the rule.
And even though it's 0-0-5, Swain, Triple has farmed well enough to have himself a Rod of Ages, so he's scaling. Luch, of course, winning the farm battle in both of these respective games. He was #1 in the rankings. Triple was #2.
9.6, I believe, CS per minute, compared to the 9.2 of Triple. Rift Herald now being looked at here. We'll see whether they try and give it to Pac-Man, but he will have to use the teleporter or Standing Knight to get up there. So it looks like Luch or maybe Seb will be taking this one away. Probably wanting to deny this with Paradise being the most important thing. Now they have to dodge the curtain call. Luch is going to pick up the buff. And Chenny just hops out of the ultimate.
Yeah, saves the cooldown reduction by not using the last 2 bullets. As they were looking at it. And really, I don't know if contesting the Rift Herald was all that worth it. Keeping Pac-Man down, though, is always going to be quite valuable. And it's now a point in the game where Jin, Bard, and to an extent Rek'Sai, who is kind of just on his wandering lone missions, can now 1-3-1.
T-Gun going to speed himself up here as the arrow flies through. They're looking for Chelby, but they decide not to overcommit. No teleport from Paradise, of course, so just didn't want to go in without Luch.
And they're still looking aggressively. The red buff's now the call.
Seb is able to lock it down. Yeah, nice knock-up comes in as it's a brilliant repel to get Seb out of the CC. Tempered Fate comes down. Triple looking for more. Gets him right on top of Seb. Fantastic stun, and the shutdown comes in for Jake as Raid, he's able to run away for the moment. Of course, Jax not to be seen as Pac-Man was trying to rotate up, but it's a nice pick for Avant.
And they did that without the teleports available for the top laner. Of course, Luch not having his own means that he's not having a great time. And Triple, in terms of lane assignments, you'd be quite happy with this for AV.
Yeah.
They would ideally want to have Luch against Triple and have the Shen against the Jax as per their needs. Right now, AV is the 3-man unit that is going to be Chelby, Jake, and Chenny Boy threatening this middle lane off the back of the picks.
Well, you can see Flash actually burnt out of Chelby there, respecting Raid's follow-up damage. You can see Pac-Man did make his way in, used the teleport looking for a flank, but doesn't find it. Magical Journey makes this AV roster a bit slippery.
Yeah, the immediate matching teleport out of Triple actually had to get cancelled. Paradise will have his, though. And so whilst Abyss are now moving forward, threatening this, looks like they might actually be able to get it. Very quick rotation from this team.
Yeah, fantastic as Chelby off to the side throwing Prey Seekers, but it's not going to be able to save this inner turret. The team with all of this single target pick and the movement speed as well, able to open up this map a lot.
Yeah, they're doing really well in terms of making decisions and doing it as a team.
Yeah. Well, Luna is going to come through with a tweet. Thank you, Hellions support player. Ash Karma into a Fed Jax. I know those feels, Abyss. It's getting flashbacks, man.
Might have been something that we saw very recently, in fact.
Possibly a certain squiggle.
Of course, the Jax being 5-1 means that Ash Karma don't have a great time. The Counter-Strike by pressing E reduces AoE damage by about 30% also.
Yeah.
Which means all of the burst that can come out of Luch can actually be reduced. All of the damage that Raid would like to do with his Q button doesn't exist. There's a lot of utility behind that spell. Same thing goes, however, for Pac-Man and using his W. As we saw the Jin predict, it's always going to be a crit on the 4th bullet.
Yep.
Shen can always press W on that 4th bullet. Know that he's going to defuse a crit.
Hey, that's a very good point.
We saw it earlier when they were sieging that middle lane turret. Chenny actually died for it.
And we've seen Pac-Man play very well on this Shen as well in the past, so we'll see whether he can continue to impress on this champion. His Magical Journey is going to get Chenny Boy out.
He's jungling right now, Pac-Man.
Yeah.
He's currently dealing with a Frozen Wave that Paradise has in his back pocket. He can keep that for quite a while.
But if he does, I mean, that does nullify a lot of where AV's damage is. So if Abyss can make any moves with the rest of their unit, will be very good, as the Cocoon is going to catch Paradise out there. Nice bit of damage. The arrow is not going to come in. Paradise possibly could look to turn this one around as the teleport is coming in. Yeah, Chenny Boy is going to be able to lock down Raid. As you can see, the teleport did come in from the Rise off the back end, but he's 1 versus 3. This is dangerous. Chelby gets the knock up as T-Gun trying to help Luch out. Jake is going to flash out of the way. Nice snare onto Chelby as, yeah, Chenny Boy now looking for Luch. Doesn't find him, has to cancel as everyone moves out of the way. Deadly Flourish also not going to find the targets, but Triple, the meanwhile, he's on the bottom side of the map, taking down a turret.
Yeah, nothing hitting the mark there from Chenny Boy. Really unfortunate. Of course, he'll have a bit of money to recall and get eventually anyway. This is, of course, how Raid goes down. The power of the Brad. The best way to look at this is, funnily enough, whilst we saw the Elise going in on top lane, he was a one-man army trying to defuse Paradise's usefulness in any sieges that happen or any engages that happen, stopping the teleports. It's always nice to have, as now they've found Triple.
Yeah, everyone moving after him here as well, as there's no arrow available. T-Gun does find the snare as Pac-Man gets the Shadow Dash on top of him. He's in a whole host of trouble as Raid going to start slowing him up with that Frost Shot. He does have Flash, but Triple's not going to make it to the wall. Able to lock down the Swain that was able to take down the bottom side of their base.
No, there wouldn't have been a whole lot of purpose in actually using his Flash there anyway. Better off just sacking the death, giving them the gold, and giving them the Cloud Drake, which is not worth fighting for at a deficit of points.
Yeah, it's a very good point. So Cloud Drake is going to fall. Next one's a Mountain for Dragon number 3. As Abyss, remember, do still have that Scaling Dragon with the Infernal, which would be important.
They are
further into the game.
They do have a Rise for scaling. Ashe does a lot of late game damage. Elise will benefit from it as well. To an extent, T-Gun will. While we're talking about scaling, we'll look over to the other side of the rift.
Yeah.
And we have Jin, who, you know,
scales pretty good.
He scales pretty well. There's a Jax.
Hey, yeah, we haven't spoken about Jax for quite some time. He scales okay, doesn't he?
Like, rumor has it. I'm just a puppet, dude. Rumor has it when he hits late game, he does a lot of damage.
Yeah, I've heard this one. Right, AV against the minions.
Oh no.
Yeah, they're looking for it as the arrow is going to find Chelby. He tunnels his way into a stun as Pac-Man looking for a Shadow Dash. Is going to be able to get Chelby, but it's a nice knock-up. Stops him from getting through, has to flash, gets himself out of the way. No Tempered Fate comes in as Pac-Man going to get Paradise to the head. And Chenny Boy sets up the ultimate. T-Gun in trouble. They will just bonk this turret down. And Paradise gets in. Massive stun comes out, and T-Gun's going to die. Just sets it up for the rest of his team, does Paradise. And the Deadly Flourish comes in. Seb is going to get locked down. Nice flash. Gets him out to safety, actually, as Raid has to deal with Beatrice as well as the rest of Avant. Nice couple of picks.
3 almost kills. It is only going to be 2, but Seb gets away with no health. Raid had barely any health to his name. Means that AV show that they have the capabilities to team fight. They do have that Jax already pretty much scaled. Chelby is a super tank. Triple pretty much is as well. And that Jin sits so far back that to actually get to him is very unrealistic for Luch to consider, for Raid to consider, and that is most of their damage. Pac-Man's taunt actually gets interrupted as well, because Chelby can stay burrowed. It's similar to the Galio Udyr effect, where if he's bear stance and if you taunt him, he's just going to cancel you instantly.
Yeah, or the Nautilus effect, where if you're just Nautilus, you just cancel it, which is really frustrating.
Yeah, the knockups that can come out of Rek'Sai actually diffused a lot of Pac-Man's potential engage and giving Jin time to free hit on a champion like that Shen, who normally would be tanky, but isn't really currently. He dies pretty quick.
Yeah, it certainly does. Now building towards some magic resist here. Wants to grab that Spirit Visage. Help keep himself alive. It's Paradise. You can see just whacking these minions one after the other.
About 2.7k gold ahead.
Oh, just a casual 2.7.
I think everywhere on the top side of the map is actually in favor of AV. Mid laners are even, but AD carries. Raid still has a lot more gold. And that comes down to the farm values. Most importantly, again, Raid's been doing better in game number 2. It's still getting caught out of position by these Bard ultis, so got to commend Jake for that.
Yeah, Jake definitely doing some work here. Did some work in game number 1 as well, but unfortunately wasn't enough. Now Avant looking to answer back. Backing comes in from Paradise.
I like when Jakey plays Bard,
Yeah.
because when he hits the ultimate, you can call it the Kobe. That's his dog's name.
That is pretty good.
Just thought of it, so now I'm going to call it the Kobe.
All right. Sounds good. Now Pac-Man answering this big wave of minions pushed up towards the turret. Paradise no longer here. Shelby standing in his stead. Pac-Man probably pretty happy that there's no Jax hanging around.
Yeah.
The actual really cool thing here for AV is the fact that Luch finds it quite difficult to build a Morellonomicon.
Yeah, he won't be building one. You do have an Executioner's calling for raid, though.
Yeah.
So they'll be able to defuse some of that. There's no Ignite either to be seen from T-Gun, who has gone for the Exhaust. Against a lot of healing, especially if that's a Hextech Gunblade out of Paradise. Even a Blade of the Wrong King to an extent, right? He has the life steal. But Hextech Gunblade gives you 15% of all damage dealt as healing. And as a Jax, having a lot of mixed damage means you just get so much health back. You'd want to have Ignite against it.
You can see now Paradise looking to fight Pac-Man. 2-level advantage. Just to shove all of these minions in. Deadly Flourish doesn't find the targets they're looking for as Chelby had tunneled his way through. Captive audience waiting in the way. You can see Luch now trying to answer on his own as 4 members bear down on this turret. Pac-Man as well,
Arrow's
also
out.
taking some damage. Arrow going to be missed onto Triple there as Luch dodges out of the way of the Never. Chenny Boy got caught in the back line as Seb takes a lot of damage for it. Chenny's going to fall as Raid picks up the kill, but Luch and Raid both caught in the Tempered Fate. Fantastic Cosmic Binding locks up the Rise, but not the Ash. And Seb still off to the side trying to be a nuisance. Pac-Man struggling, but is holding off Paradise for now.
Holding for now. That's the key word. So Pac-Man, whilst he can do it for the moment, as the game progresses, he won't be able to do that. Didn't have to use his ulti. Seb gets out. And Seb is the hero of Abyss right now. He keeps finding picks. He is playing this game well. He's been playing the series well.
Oh, yeah.
And that pick onto the Jhin to stop the ulti and to lock him down with Luch is exactly what they need.
Spectacular play out of the Elise. Now Paradise looking to possibly head back. We'll see what he decides to do. As Luch clears out minions. They buy some respite here on the side of Abyss. Struggling for options at this stage, just trying to deal with this split push.
It feels weird seeing Luch not ahead of the clock.
Yeah.
He'll get there, but it feels weird.
And he's still ahead of everyone else.
Yeah. I mean, we can look at the CS differences
Yeah.
and say that they're everywhere. We've got defined strength between these teams. Bottom lane, you'd say, yeah, Ashe, a lot stronger. There's a lot more farm.
Yeah.
Yet Jhin is still doing his part in these fights because you can't get onto him. Same thing goes for the top side of the map. If Shen, now level 11, can press his R-key and save the carries, he's still filling part of his purpose, even though he is 70 CS.
Not to mention the 6 kills as well, as AV are going to grab their first Dragon of the game. It will be a Mountain. Definitely a good news story for this team who want to be smashing down these turrets. Wards are now going to be cleared. You can see pings onto the Baron buff as there are 3 pink wards around the area for Avant. Comfortable in their vision control.
He must have a bit of money now, Paradise.
Oh yeah.
He's sitting on very awkward components for items, so 2 mid-game items in the Trinity Force. At this point, he's better off probably selling the Doran's Blade and getting the next component or a pink ward and then doing that.
Well, Arrow is going to be flashed, but Shelby still gets hit. Luch looks for the Rune Prison and does find it as Triple now trying to save his jungle. A nice never move onto Raid as Triple as well. Able to throw down the ultimate, keeps himself healthy. Shelby as well, not going to die. Spirit Visage letting him eat up all of that fury.
A lot of damage coming out of Luch. He doesn't have just brown leather bags on his boots anymore. He's completed the Merc Treads and he has a Void Staff with it, which is why he had brown leather bags, prioritizing his damage.
Yeah.
Very strong. Will be able to chunk out Shelby, even though he's a tank with a Spirit Visage Cinderhulk build.
And you can see the Gunblade now completed here as well from Paradise. So not only can he smack people with the lamppost, he can also shoot them with a big green gun. Very scary stuff.
See, that's cheating. When you think about it, Jax having items is almost against the law.
Yeah, imagine if I had a real weapon. Well,
He has a couple.
Exactly. One being a weird triangle disc. Triple looking for Pac-Man. Doesn't quite have his Spirit Visage completed as Never Move. Not going to find the Shen. Triple just trying to bird after this Shen character. Isn't going to be able to find him.
Still doing a lot of damage, and Pac-Man playing this tank position. Doesn't have enough items to contest triple. Paradise, if he's on the other side of the map dealing with Luch, you would still say you'd favor Paradise's chances. We spoke to that Counter-Strike reducing AoE damage, and that's what Luch has a lot of. So at this point, lane assignments are actually quite good for AV as they set up around the Baron area.
Yeah, double teleports are up, of course, on both sides of the map. There's no flash for Luch, which could be important. The last summoner spell that they're looking for. Shelby as well, still without his. Can't get those flash knockups. That inner turret easily fell down with a couple of thwacks from Paradise and Jakey.
So playing the map quite slow now, AV. I think they've recognized that they're in a position to be considered ahead.
Yep.
That's why a lot of that emphasis now goes directly to the Baron pit, where you can control vision, because you know you're ahead, you know you can establish neutral ground as yours. Shelby didn't mean to go there. He meant to go over the wall, I think. Help out. This is what they're going to slow play. Unfortunately for them, AV are on top of that ward that Shelby is hovering near. Yep. It will get cleared now, though. And now the vision's completely cleared.
Very dark.
Well, now.
In that Baron pit. As you can see, Triple will be able to clear out this wave. Luch just farming towards the bottom side, has his teleport. As does Pac-Man on the top.
You'd have to worry for Abyss through their top and jungle positions now. Paradise can 1v2. You can see the confidence with which he now carries himself.
He also just jumped in there and took the Grom like a jerk.
Yeah. I called it confidence.
Yeah. Well, you can see the rest of AE are able to get up there. They managed to take down, I believe, the Rift Scuttler, or they were just able to put a ward in. Jenny Boy in this mid lane will be able to clear out these minions as well.
And the next Drake could be good for AV also, considering the first one's the Mountain. The second one going to be that for them if they lock down the next one. Of course, it's the fourth of the game.
Yeah.
And so it's important for AV to start working themselves around the map. Actually get themselves the objectives. That'd be nice. But to do so into a Rise, Shen, Elise, Ashe means that you're actually putting yourself in a predictable position on Summoner's Rift. So for what it's worth, if we see AV kick off the Baron, the Ashe arrow is probably going to hit, the Elise Cocoon's probably going to connect, and they can engage on them effectively. So it comes down to timing.
Not to mention the Rise AoE damage with that passive proc. Really scary. Luch is going to meet Triple here towards the bottom side of the map. Building towards what looks like a Guardian Angel is his next one. Banner of Command minion getting thrown towards the AV squad. Shelby and Paradise are just going to two-man this Baron, and it's going down extraordinarily fast.
Yeah, that's just going to get destroyed.
They both just topped over.
No contesting here available for Abyss. They've just been, unbeknownst to them,
all too easy.
Yeah, they've lost themselves the major epic, and with a Baron buff in his back pocket, Paradise, as if he wasn't strong enough on
He's
this
aptly
Jax.
named. He is most definitely aptly named for this game.
No, he's going to find himself now back in that top lane position from AD. 6-1 with a Baron buff on a scaled Jax, and Luna's tweet earlier sums it up pretty well.
Yeah.
He may know the feels. We're all about to watch them happen potentially again.
Yeah, and he also has a Guardian Angel now completed, so you're going to have to kill him twice if once wasn't hard enough. Triple easily takes down his blue buff. Now we'll see whether AV decide to go for this Dragon first or whether they decide to push these lanes out and get that Baron into effect.
You would imagine they look towards pushing and then resort to potentially the Mountain Drake. It is a free objective, so there's always a possibility that you see Paradise even just walk down and take it by himself. But with it up in 20 seconds, they haven't had enough time to actually work the map. It might just be easier to straight... He's done it twice now.
Oh my God.
To straight up just take the Drake and then look to rotate. Because two Mountains with the Baron buff would make life pretty easy for sieging.
Yeah, we actually saw how it worked last game for Abyss. They were able to push in and win the game off their Baron buff and a couple of Mountain Drakes. Now AV with their opportunity. Triple is actually going to get discovered by all of the members of Abyss right now. He doesn't take any damage there at all. The arrow was thrown at the Swain.
Triple has no cares to give for your damage.
Oh no.
It's just dirt off his shoulder. He'll go back to his side lane and press his Arcane, be happy again. And now the pressure starts to mount. AV looking towards Abyss. They haven't broken the base, but let me tell you, Paradise is not going to be too far away from it.
Paradise actually fighting Pac-Man right here as Raid's going to make his way in. Counter-Strike, he's looking for it. Raid flashes afterwards. Nice slow comes in as Paradise just shoots him with a gunblade.
Go do the Wolves and be back to full health potentially, as we'll see. One more turret falls, and that was 2 people on the top side of the map. That's not going to change. I just think they're too strong in a 1-3-1 setup right now, AV.
It's just not a lot of answers here possible from this Abyss squad. See whether they can pick anyone off, get around the map at the right time, and stop all of these lanes from getting pressured as T-Gun is going to be the one that gets caught out. Nice deadly flourish from Chenny Boys. He's looking to make his way over, but Shelby blocks down the kill. Luch right in amongst it, gets some damage down, but these are tanky members of Avant. Shelby just soaking for his team.
Jax has also killed top lane throughout this.
Oh my goodness. Pac-Man's still alive, but that tower is most definitely dead. Inhibitor falls on the bottom side of the map. Super minions heading towards the Nexus. They're pinging out all of the turrets here, as you can see. The Jax now going to be the focus. Seb not going to find the cocoon, and he doesn't want to move too far away from his base with that Jax running around. Curtain call comes in. Luch tanks up the first one, has a GA, so isn't going to die from that. It's never moved, not going to find the targets. Few abilities going fairly wide, so AE are going to be able to get this one for now.
But that's a lot of money now established by AV. Arrow is actually on Chenny.
Yeah, nice arrow comes in. Does use the flash. Tepid Fate locks down Seb. You can see Paradise wants none of it. He's just clearing out a wolf camp.
You have to feel like with one inhibitor broken on the bottom side of the map and a Jax able to work the other, what can now be a 4-man unit of AV, even a 3-2 lane assignment, will still be very dangerous. And Abyss just don't have the answers right now. Jin's too long ranged for a Rise to get close to. And their engage being a pick composition is lacking to the point of getting in a backline. They needed a Nautilus or a Maokai.
Something with a reliable flank. Certainly did not have that.
Even Hecarim in the jungle position, perhaps, to go with that Shen would have been better.
Yeah.
If they were in NA, it would have been an Olaf.
Oh, I mean, Pac-Man does exist. The man did recently play Olaf. Glad not to this time. Put a lot of priority on this Shen here because Lush will take away his blue buff.
They know where he is as well. They're walking over wards constantly. Both of these members are. It looks like a flank, but AV should be prepared for this.
Well, Arrow's going to come in. Nice teleport comes down as well as Paradise is making his way in. Seb down to about half health as Paradise going to get hit by the Tempered Fate. Triple now as well, down below half health as Raid very, very low. Paradise just bops him on the skull. You can see Seb taking damage. Double kill comes in for the Jax. He's having a field day. Almost gets the triple, but Triple's the one that picks it up. As Pac-Man down to his Guardian Angel, it's only a matter of time before they fall down. Luch too far away from his base at this stage. And you can see the Nexus now melting at the hands of AV. We are going to Game 3, and this Avant squad looking so much better.
Yeah, AV, they hit the full roster back, and they kick Game 2 straight in the butt. Abyss Esports definitely struggling.
Yeah, struggling I think is about the word to say. And
I mean, like, struggling, I'd say AV just looked a lot better, to be fair. I'll backpedal on that one.
Yeah. Well,
a little bit.
Struggling after, I guess, the quadra kill out of the Jax, which was pretty ridiculous. But let's throw it to the analyst desk to see what they made of that game.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that was a back and forward affair. I mean, Abyss, they look so good shot calling macro, their rotations around the map crisp. But at the end of the day, when you give 4 kills over to Jax, I think about the 13-minute mark, you're going to have a bad time.
Yeah, it was incredibly close. And like you said, props to T-Gun. Shot caller for Abyss Esports looked really clean. They're pushing up into the mid lane. They rotate towards the bottom lane. It was simply them overstaying their welcome, allowing the TP to come in. Deep TP from Paradise to get behind them, and was set up really well by Triple and who was the AD carry's name? Totally spacing Jin right now.
And like you said, Jake, it's just all downhill from there. It was a 4-0 Jax, able to split push for days up in the top side. It just became a huge threat to deal with on the side of Abyss, and they just couldn't do that.
Yeah, I think we actually do have the replay potentially. Yep, we're going to bring it up on your screen. So this is exactly what we talk about. They get the mid lane turret. They catch 2 people in the forest. They look like they're going to be able to take people and push through in the bottom lane, but they're just not able to get it done here.
And here's the thing, is that Shelby and Jake have pretty much just suicided at this point, and they've cleaned up 2 kills. So there's a lot of confidence for Abyss right now, and then Paradise from deep behind, it's set up by Jin. Jin connects with 2 bullets, applies the slow, allows the slow for Triple to walk into them, and suddenly Paradise is right on top of them.
This was after a very slow start coming out from Paradise up in the top lane, and Shelby as well, because they got poked out of the jungle from level 1 and were very indecisive about how they were going to recover from that. So this just put them right back into the game and on even footing with Abyss, if not even more.
on a side note, Chenny boy, I'm so sorry I forgot your name. I'm used to seeing you on Ash. And I was like, no, Ash was on the other team. It can't be Chenny boy.
Yeah, no, so he does pick up the Jhin. And, I want to actually talk about this a little bit because the composition built by the Abyss lineup was, nullify the Jax with the Shen, have someone that can answer the Swain, have a better unit in the mid lane that has a lot of pick potential out of Ashe as well as the Elise, and then use your teleports to get in there and set up flanks. It was something that Rusty pointed out a lot. However, when you get the Swain ahead, when you get the Jax ahead, it just means that your 3-man unit doesn't have wave clear and doesn't have the ability to repel the sieges, and there's just nowhere for them to work.
And that was the issue, is the line assignments, because Swain and Jax were so far ahead that they could never really use their global presence or their global dominance in the composition to execute on any sort of pick anywhere.
Yep, that one play coming in from Abyss was all it took for Avant to take over then. Like you said, couldn't execute on the team composition or the win condition.
And you have to say that, having Paradise back in the top lane starting role, having Chenny Boy back in the roster, that makes a huge difference coming now into Game 3.
I actually really like the fact that Chenny Boy moving away from the Ashe and taking the Jhin. We've talked about how Jin's kind of like a pseudo Ashe, offering a very similar thing where he's got like the utility of the long range engagement with his ultimate by adding the slow. But then in bonus, he also gets to do late game damage to a scale that Ashe really can't measure up to.
It even shows because Abyss have moved away from the triple top lane ban all the way over to a triple mid lane ban, so it's taken some bans away too.
Yeah, it certainly was. So with that in mind, guys, we are going to go to Game 3. Avant Garde hit back. We'll see whether they can close it out or whether Abyss Esports have their number. Stick around. We'll be back in 3.5.